This is 22 Nonprofits in 22 Days, brought to you by Operation Intel Veteran Stories.
What is going on, everybody? I hope you guys have had a great Wednesday. We have something extremely special for you guys tonight. Well, I should say you gals, because tonight is all about you. But before we get into that, I hope everybody enjoyed the show last night. Big Jim was a hit. Everybody seemed to like him. That was a real fun one, and I'll be honest with you, that was something that came out from the fly, to be honest. We had somebody cancel on us, and Jim was right there, and it was amazing. Make sure you guys share the live. This one's going to be a really good one. You guys are going to really, really enjoy this one. So make sure you hit that share button. Make sure you hit the like button. What is going on, Lion? Hey, Erica, I heard you're excited for tonight. So we got a lot of stuff going on. We got more. We're booked out for the next 2 weeks for this, the nonprofits. It's incredible, to be honest with you. So I'm excited to do more and more. We're going to be taking Saturdays off, like I said, but but we'll be doing the rally point on Sunday, of course. So make sure everybody's getting in here. You guys are going to absolutely love tonight. Okay, so tonight is somebody that is doing a lot for the female veterans. You know, oftentimes we don't hear enough being done for them, and they're excluded, and they don't get enough recognition for what they do and what they go through. Our guest tonight is making it possible for those female veterans to not only get recognized, but also get help in where they need help. Her voice is very big. She's talked on Capitol Hill, for God's sakes. I mean, she is an amazing person. You may have heard of her nonprofit called Operation Juliet. I'm going to bring her on here. Let me take her off of mute. Dallas Knight, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing amazing, Tim. Thank you so much for having me on and giving me this opportunity to share more about what we're doing out here.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely incredible. You know, Nick sent me, I think it was an article about you, and I was like, I think it's amazing. We need to have her on. And sometimes you get kind of nervous because you're like, well, I don't know if this person will even be able to see this, because so many people, you know how social media is. We get a lot of messages and stuff. So I'm happy you got it. I'm happy you're on the show, and I'm extremely happy to just hear more about what you're doing for the veteran community, because I was telling you this before. I don't think the female veterans get enough recognition, and you are doing one hell of a job at making sure that ends. Can you tell us a little bit of back history on you, for those of you who don't know her, just who you are, what branch you were in, and what you're doing with Operation Juliet?
Yeah, it's a mouthful, so bear with me. But I joined the Army when I was 17, just 2 months prior to 9/11. So I really didn't know the military I was going to be a part of. I didn't know it was going to be a war-driven military. I remember I was on a delayed entry program. So even though I signed in July of 01, I wasn't slotted to go to basic training in AIT until January of 02. So I decided to fit in a semester of college that fall. And my whole goal of going into the military was to get a bachelor's degree, because I screwed around in high school and, missed that opportunity of getting school paid for. And I didn't come from a prestigious family, so I didn't have anyone to front the bill for me. So my goal was to get a bachelor's degree in quote unquote real world experience, which were two of the requirements to work for the DEA. That was my big career goal. So off I went, started school, went in the military, thought great real world experience. Had no idea what the extent of what that real world experience was going to be. But enrolled in college, 9/11 happened. And I mean, everyone that was alive during that time and old enough to have those types of memories knows where they were and what they were doing and how it impacted their life. And in that moment, I knew that I was going to go to war. My mom told me that I was crazy because women don't go to war and we don't serve in combat and we don't do those things. And I just knew in my soul. And anyway, I found myself in Iraq in 03, and I came home in 2004, still pursuing that dream of working for the DEA. And I knew that I was messed up and I knew that I probably needed help. But the people that went and saw mental health professionals before me were getting their security clearances taken from them after they'd been diagnosed with PTSD. So I was like, well, F that. I'm not going to go get help. I will just lock all this shit in a box and throw away the key and just press on. And that worked for about 17 years. And then I just started to kind of come apart. Screws started popping off, and, all the things just were impacting me more and more. I found myself in an abusive marriage. I was depressed. I was anxious. I was suicidal. And I knew something had to give. I think the only thing that was keeping me afloat during that time were my two boys. And the first thing that I changed was my nutrition. And it was during that time that I realized, wow, I didn't know how big of an impact that your diet can have on your mental health. I got a little bit of a breath in that moment, was able to get out of that toxic relationship. And with that is when I finally started my healing journey. And that included me seeking a therapist. I went a very non-traditional route and saw a resonance repatterning therapist. And I didn't have to talk about all the things. It was really on a subconscious level, which I loved because I didn't want to relive everything. So we started peeling back layers, and we addressed the toxic marriage, we addressed some childhood trauma, and then my military career came and smacked me in the face. And I was like, okay, I've just got to face this. And the way I chose to do it was pretty bold. I kept a journal. I actually have it here. I kept a journal during my deployment to Iraq, and I wrote in it most days. And I decided I was going to read it from beginning to end for the first time ever. I had picked it up every once in a while and was like, okay, today is February 4th. I hadn't landed in country yet. I think the first entry is May 3rd is when I was actually in country. But anyway, I would be like, okay, well, what happened on May 3rd? Read it. I'd be like, well, that was a mistake. I don't ever want to do that again. And then for a couple of years, I wouldn't pick it up. So making that decision, I put a few rules in place. I wasn't going to give myself a timeline. I would do it on my own terms, but I did want to do a little bit every day. I quit once, but it took me 6 months to get through 89 journal entries. And during that time, I had a mentor of mine, a Vietnam veteran, who had this crazy idea that I should publish the journal. And I told him he was nuts, that his brain must have fell out in Vietnam somewhere. And it was mostly because I didn't want to relive it. And this was before I started reading it. And then when I got through it to the end, I was like, you know what, maybe this guy's onto something. Sidebar, he has a publishing company as a passion project. And he focuses on supporting military veterans and publishing their books. And it doesn't have to be a military book. It can be a child's book, but he really wants to support the veteran community, which is really cool. Deeds Publishing, if you're interested in learning more. So I hunted him down. I said, all right, that crazy idea you put in my head, I'm ready to move forward. And I sent him my manuscript, and his validation, I think, meant more to me than anything. Having someone from that era and have lived, he was 83 years old at this time, 83 years of his life, to say, Dallas, what you did was a lot. And people need to understand what you went through as a 19-year-old girl in the middle of a combat zone. And veterans need to know, people who are thinking about going into the military need to know, loved ones of military need to know. And like, this is just everyone kind of needs to know. And so I worked with him, published the book in September of 2023. It's called Shattered Reflections. And it's literally the raw contents of the journal. And then I added some footnotes to the end of each journal entry, kind of either giving more context, talking about my current feelings as I read that journal entry, or something in between. And when I did that, the feelings I had was I finally felt heard, seen, validated. Like, oh, I had suppressed that attribute of not only veteran, but combat veteran down. I didn't even acknowledge that that was a part of me. And no one ever looked at me and was like, oh yeah, you were probably in the military. Most people who think, especially combat veterans, they have this image of a 35 to 55-year-old white male. And there's so many different flavors of combat veterans out there that one of my main objectives is to break that stigma and allow people to know, there's so much more than that Sony production movie that shows all the white guys, killing the bad guys and doing really cool shit. So with that in mind, I said, you know what? There must be so many other women out there that have these similar feelings that need to have a safe space to just open up and share their story and feel heard and validated. So I launched the podcast Not So Average Jane in October of 2023, almost immediately. And I trolled TikTok actually, and I just looked for hashtag female veteran, female combat veteran. And I would just send them a little bit about me. I'd send them a link to my book and say, listen, I want to share your story. I've already done it myself. I've taken that first step. I've, expressed that vulnerability. And now I want to be that safe space for you. We will only talk about what you want to talk about. I will respect any triggers or no-go topics. And it was completely organic in the way that they just shared what they wanted to. And I would watch them, and maybe you've experienced this, Tim, where at the beginning of the podcast, they're kind of hunched over or arms are crossed and like all this body language of like just bleh. And then by the end of about an hour worth of a podcast, they were forward and open and sitting taller and a smile on their face. And all I did was just give them that space. And it was so incredible to watch them open up and their eyes start to sparkle again. But I was about 4 episodes in, and I did meet my goal of working for the DEA, and I was an intelligence analyst for almost 10 years there. So that intelligence analyst brain started kicking in because I started to see these patterns across the women that were sharing their stories. And it was things that I had gone through or felt as well, that not heard, not seen, invalid. But the 2 things that stood out the most to me were that these women shared that they had lost their sense of femininity. They didn't know what it was like, or they didn't fully embrace what it was like to be a woman at the core. And that made sense to me because we all go, men and women, we all go through training together, and we're trained the same for the most part. And we're told when to eat and sleep and what to wear. And we're also told that, we don't talk about our feelings because that's weakness, and, to not be a Sally and to rub some dirt on it and grow a pair and all of these things. And we have to suppress what is natural as a woman to nurture and to take care of. I remember a time sitting in a tower in Iraq, and this is like the best story that I can share that really explains like what happens to a woman's psychology when she's in these positions. And I'm sitting in a tower, and this woman and child start approaching the compound, and the child looks malnutritioned and he doesn't have shoes on and he's dirty, and the woman's wearing, the full getup. And my first inclination as a female was I wanted to put clothes and shoes on this kid and feed them and give them water. And then I had my training kicked in and I found myself tightening my pistol grip and placing my hand on the trigger, getting ready to pull it. And that rewires something in your brain as a man too, but men and women's brains and psychologically are very different. Men are hunters, right? They are the protectors. They're prepared to do actions in that way to protect the community, whether that's a military community or your home owners association, right?
Yeah.
But women are not wired that way. That's not in our psychology. So we get rewired, and then we get out of the military and we don't get unwired. And so trying to find our way back to that, and then society expecting us, okay, you're out of the military, go get married, find yourself a husband, have kids, you'll feel fulfilled. There's still a void there. And it took me a long time to say out loud because I felt shame that I didn't feel fulfilled being a mom. It wasn't enough for me. And I thought that if I said that out loud, that people would look at me like I was this horrible person. I was a bad mom. There was something wrong with me. And when these women also started sharing their stories with me, and I didn't feel alone in that. And I realized that there were actually many of us that felt that. So that's number one. And that was a long-winded number one. And I appreciate you staying with me on this because it's important stuff. But the second thing, which was even more alarming, is how many women, and according to Operation Juliet statistics, about 85% of female veterans have experienced military sexual trauma. The VA reports 1 in 3, but you have to remember that the VA only reports what the VA can report, and I wasn't even a statistic in the VA until 2024. So I had been out since 2007, and so I was never even that number. So for all the men and women who don't even go to the VA because they're scared, or they hear the horror stories, or they have a really great career and they have health insurance there and they just don't see the point, they're not a part of those statistics. So the VA numbers are very wrong in not my opinion, in my facts that I've collected over the last couple of years from women. So with those two primary things in mind, I went looking for resources, Tim. I felt selfish in that these women were coming and pouring their hearts and souls out to me and sharing their stories. And yes, I was giving something back to them in the way that, they felt like some weight had been lifted off their chest. But I was worried that I was allowing them to feel safe and secure in this environment here and to open up. But the minute, we shut the laptop down and close the podcast off, what was going to happen? Did I trigger them? Did they just go down memory lane with me and now they were just living in those memories? Did they have a support system? Had they already kind of been in a dark place? So I was very worried. And so I went looking for resources. I really just wanted to build out a resources page on my website and be like, okay, thank you so much for sharing your story with me. Now I'm going to send you to this page and I really want you to go, find something that works for you. But unfortunately, I was very disappointed with what I found in my research of looking for resources for these women. Now and I'm sure you've come across a lot of them, especially with what you're doing in your current initiative of interviewing nonprofits. There are a lot of nonprofits that serve the veteran community. There are a lot of organizations that serve the veteran community, and that's amazing. It really is. But when you start looking at it in a little bit more depth, what you will come to realize is that the majority of them are ran and operated by men. And the majority of the curriculums or programs or activities that they introduce as part of their program are masculine activities: hunting, fishing, camping, all the things. Now, women love to do those things too. I'm not saying that we don't. But if you take the two primary things that I'm trying to address and you put that as the priority, those things aren't going to work, because you're not going to have a woman who's been through combat and also sexually assaulted go to a wellness program with men at her left and her right and, strip down to her most vulnerable self and heal from this very core of her soul. She's just not going to. And this is at no fault of the organizations. It's at no fault of the founders, the directors, the facilitators. They're doing amazing jobs. Someone just needed to step up to the plate that came from that same space as them. And what I soon came to realize, that apparently that person was going to be me.
I couldn't think of a better person to take on that, though. And I've only, I know that it's a lot. Trust me, with what I'm doing right now. And believe it or not, for those of you in the chat right now, this is the first time I've actually got to sit down with Dallas. So this is the first time I've heard her story. This is the first time I've gotten to interact with her. Dallas, our stories line up a lot in what we're trying to accomplish. It's actually crazy to me. It sounds a lot like my story, right? When you said, you'll have these people on the podcast, and then after the podcast, what happens? Nope, did we lose her? Hold on a second here. Give me 1 second. There we go. I got you back. But then once the podcast ends, it's not so much a safe space anymore. What's it going to be like afterwards, right? So what we're trying to build here is a spot for people who feel isolated, right? And to have a community of veterans supporting each other. Because for so long, I hadn't seen my guys in 20 years. I hadn't talked to nearly 90% of them. Now we have a guy that said he's done more healing in the last 6-7 months that we've been doing this than he has in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
Our stories are a lot alike, and it just makes me smile that somebody else sees the value and the importance in supporting these veterans and the ones that have went through a lot and what they can do to help. In the book, where can they find that book that you have published, by the way? Because I definitely want them to pick that up.
It's on Amazon.
There you go.
Easy peasy. It'll be on your doorstep tomorrow.
She's a saleswoman too. Listen, what are some of the things that Operation Juliet is doing to help the female veterans? What kind of activities are you guys doing? I know we said the hunting and fishing and being around a bunch of guys, which I 110% agree with what you said there. But what are the activities in which you're putting on for those females?
Yeah. So my first vision was a multi-day wellness program. I wanted to bring the women together for multiple days. And I dug into my own healing journey and I asked myself, okay, what really worked for me and what also worked in a way that I didn't necessarily have to relive and rehash and talk about everything, but I had the most impact from. And so I built a curriculum for what I call the Not So Average Jane Retreat, specifically for female combat veterans. That was my first initiative. I really was just focused on the women who were like me. And, a lot of people are like, well, really? I mean, you're probably only going to be able to have a few retreats and you're going to be, out of women. And I have to remind them there were 300,000 women that served during the Iraq and Afghanistan invasion and while we were there. 300,000 of us.
Yep.
Maybe not all of us served in combat, but there were a lot. And so with that in mind, there's plenty out there for sure. So I designed the curriculum, again, looking at my own healing journey and what helped me. And we focused on equine therapy, art therapy, music therapy in the form of songwriting. So we do have to rehash and talk a little bit there. But the songs that that come out of it are incredible. And it helps others who hear it feel heard because they're like, yep, that's me too. And so it's such a cool give back or pay it forward, right? And then the fourth is that resonance repatterning that I talked about, and that where it's more on a subconscious level, identifying the root cause of patterns that you may not even be aware of that are all intertwined with each other, and then basically rewiring your brain. And so with those four, and then just really concentrating on, it's an all-woman faculty. So there are no men. I joke when the facility that we rented, I said, I can't have a man within 20 miles of this property when I take it on. And they were like, what? And I'm like, no, I'm serious.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
But it was just about, creating that safe space, allowing the women to say and do whatever they needed to get the things out that they may have locked away even longer than what I had. Our first retreat went down this past last year in June. We did it just outside of Bozeman, Montana, on a 20-acre ranch, and we had we had age range from 37 to 70.
70.
So my
Wow.
70. Yeah. I also had, for those of you who know what this is, and those of you who don't, I'll explain it. I had three unicorns in my cohort. So a unicorn is a warrant officer 5. And first of all, to find a warrant officer 5 is a unicorn within itself. That they literally are called unicorns. But to have 3 female warrant officer 5s present was wild. I couldn't believe it. Actually, we were joking and saying, do you think CIA and DIA are flying drones over us right now saying the women are gathering? The women are gathering, because I had intel there. I had a helicopter pilot. I had undercover. I had SF ladies. Like, these ladies were badass. Like, I was like, if shit goes down right now, I'm good. We just need to stockpile some ammo, but otherwise, I'm good. Like, there's no other place I'd rather be. But it was really amazing to have multi-generations who the older ladies had been through, Desert Shield, Desert Storm, and Iraq and Afghanistan, and then retired shortly after. So it was really cool to hear their stories coming from leadership perspectives, right? Like, they were E7s, E8s, or 06s to 07, 08s, or warrant officers and above. So to have that leadership, and then my peers who were 19, 20 years old when Iraq happened, and be there as little E4 mafia walking around.
We're powerful though. We're powerful.
Yeah. And it was really cool to have the generations, but also man, the women they just came together immediately. I have 2 boys, and I have said this even to them, and they're okay with it. They understand. But those 5 days were the most magical 5 days of my life. There's nothing that has happened yet that has been more inspirational, motivational. I get teary-eyed even just reminiscing in it and thinking about it, because I just took what worked for me, and I hypothesized a curriculum that would work for all female combat veterans, and then it worked. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe I kind of got something here. So that was program number 1. But then I started getting a lot of DMs and text messages and phone calls, because my information is kind of out there all over the place now. And there were other female veterans who were reaching out, and they were saying, Dallas, I'm not a combat veteran, but fill in the blank. I have MST. I feel I'm isolating myself. I'm depressed. I don't find fulfillment in being a mom. I don't know what it's like to be a woman. I wear sweatpants everywhere. All these different things that were relatable, but just missing that one attribute of being serving in combat. And so we started the second program, which we call Outposts, and it's a monthly gathering, if you will, that we started in Billings, Montana, and it's open to all female veterans, and they just come, and it's more about community, right? Getting them away from that isolation and showing them, like, here are your sisters in arms. Like, you don't have to explain yourself, leave the rank and your history at the door, just know that you're in good company. And then my goal at those is to introduce a new healing modality every month, so that they understand the art of the possible. They understand that there are 100 different ways that they can heal from whatever they're going through, especially over pills and talk therapy. Because we all know, those of you that have been to the VA, those are the first two things that happen. They write you a book of scripts, and then they send you to the shrink. And that was my experience, at least. And that's what I've heard from many others. And people in general don't realize that you can get healing from scribbling on a piece of paper and calling it art. You can get healing from writing songs. You can get healing from going to a kickboxing class. You can get healing from doing somatic movement or Pilates or taking a hike with your sisters or brothers in arms. And there's so many different ways. So again, my goal each month, do something different, expose the women, introduce the women to that. And if they love it and they resonate with it, then here you go. Here's a resource, because the community has been so supportive. Here's a resource right here in your community that you can continue on that healing journey with. And so that's been really cool. We've had 14. This month will be our 15th outpost in Billings, Montana. And then last month, we just branched out to Bozeman, Montana. Big picture, big goal, especially for everyone listening. Operation Juliet will be a nationwide organization one day. I will be the umbrella that helps you stand up Operation Juliet wherever you want to stand it up. So if you're a female veteran and you feel like your community could really benefit, especially from these outposts, these monthly gatherings, please reach out to me. I need someone who's willing to be a leader. You got to be able to step up. I'm here to support you financially and from a curriculum and, what we've already done, but you really got to be the leader in your community. But that's a big picture goal, is to be able to set up these outposts all over the country.
I'll tell you something. Nothing makes me happier than what you're saying you're doing, because I can only imagine the lives that you're touching just in Montana alone. And I do believe, and I said this from the very beginning, you're the right person to do this. And I can, because you have a passion for it, right? You've been in their shoes, and you know what they've been through, and now you want to help them. I do believe you will be nationwide, and I think it's going to happen quicker than what you probably think.
Everything that's happened has been quicker than what I thought. We're only 14 months old, and we've already done all that I've shared. And to layer in on top of that, because I'm such a data analyst nerd, thank you, DEA. We have partnerships with 2 universities, and we have simultaneous research projects going on. One with our retreat. So I actually have data from our last retreat that showed the impact of the curriculum, both from a survey perspective, and we monitored the ladies' HRV levels the entire time. So we saw a steady incline in HRV, which is good, and a steady decline in anxiety, depression, and all of those other negative feelings and physiological symptoms. So it's really cool to be able to, yes, the women shared, hey, we love this and it worked and it's awesome, but it's also really cool to have data that says, yeah, Dallas isn't full of shit.
Yeah, definitely.
Here you go. And I don't know any other wellness programs that have that to back them up. So it's really cool.
That's absolutely amazing. One of the things I do want to hear from you, because I'm a big story person. I love hearing stories. Is there a certain story where you from somebody that's been there, and kind of went through the program and stuff like that, where you could see how much it has touched them, being around other ladies and stuff like that, and actually been hurt? I know earlier you said you could see it in their posture during the podcast where they were raising up. Have you gotten that one story of a veteran that you have touched, and it makes all of the things that you're doing right now just worth it? It just pops out into your mind.
It happens a lot. I mean, the ladies that were at the retreat, there was 10 of them at the first retreat, and we're still all in a group chat, and we talk at least weekly. And it's so cool to it's like we all have always known each other and we deployed together somewhere. It's that kind of bond. But I get random texts every now and then or emails. And there's one I'm pulling up on my phone. I'll read it to you. And this was very, very much unsolicited. Actually, you know what? It was a beautiful Veterans Day gift. On Veterans Day, she texted me and said, "Happy Veterans Day." And then, one of those stupid gifts that says, "I salute you." And I was like, "Happy Veterans Day, sis. I love you." And I didn't know her prior to the program. She'd been attending the Outpost programs for about 8 or 9 months at this time. And this is what she texted me. "Dallas, I wanted to send you a special note of gratitude for changing my life. Last summer when I attended the ball," that's the fundraiser we put on, "something sparked in me and I realized it was time to acknowledge my military service. It hasn't been a smooth or linear journey, but it has been one I needed to take in order to process and heal in ways I never realized I needed to. The spark that day led me down a path to seeking support through several different channels, not the least of which have been connecting with other women veterans at Operation Juliet events. Thank you for your work and advocacy on behalf of female veterans. I appreciate you."
It's the best, isn't it?
It is. And it's like every time I get a message like this, it just refuels my fire. It recalibrates everything. Because it's not easy work. Any nonprofit you talk to, especially the founders, will tell you that it's not easy work. The founders typically sacrifice almost everything in the beginning. Their time, and time, can never be replaced. And it's time with their family. It's time with themselves. It's time, with their friends. It's time with their career. They sacrifice a lot to serve a higher purpose. And I commend every single nonprofit founder out there. I never knew what it takes, and I didn't honestly think I even had it in me. But those messages here and there, it's that little bit of gasoline that you need to refuel.
Yeah, and last night on the show that we did, we had a veteran stop in, and it was his first time viewing the channel and stuff. And he was like, "I'm feeling alone, and I'm feeling this, and I'm feeling that." And the amount of people in this chat that took it upon themselves to add him, to message him, to make sure that this guy was okay, fueled me so much that what we're doing is doing the right thing, and it's making a huge impact. I think one of the things that we can do better, though, is help each other out, right? I think a lot of the times with the nonprofits, and I don't know if you've seen this or not, some of them work well together, but it's almost like a competition from what I've heard.
Yeah.
And any time that you're helping a veteran, that should be the number one priority on your list.
Yeah.
And last night I had a guy down in Texas that does, he calls it equine horsemanship, right? Because he doesn't believe it's therapy. But we had another Barnside Brotherhood that does equine therapy down in Louisiana. This is the cool part. it seemed like he hadn't talked to too many guys that was doing the same thing as he. Those two actually connected earlier today, and I was talking to Nick, which you've talked to Nick, and he's like, I think it's going to be really cool because we're going to be in the Dallas Fort Worth area, I think, next month. It'd be cool to run into this guy and meet up with him. I think that's the biggest thing that we can do is team up together. And I think once we do that, that number 22, we may never be able to eliminate it, right? Let's be honest with each other, but we can reduce it by a lot. Just working together and not making it a competition.
Yeah, I think people just get wrapped around the money, but at the end of the day, the reality is there's plenty of money out there for everyone. I know it feels like it's not, but I'm a huge believer in mentorship, both sides of it. I try to have a mentor in everything that I do, and I have a few nonprofit mentors. Ones that, I mean, they've been around for years. Like, why would I try and figure everything else out on my own? I go to them, I ask them, even challenges with the growth and board members that magically don't want to be aligned with your mission anymore, just all the struggles of it. It's really great to have someone who's already been through that and can say, you know what, it's okay. You know, this is what happened to me when something similar like that happened, and learning from that, and then being able to pay that forward as a mentor, I think is important. But yeah, going back to the mission and realizing there really is enough money out there for everyone. You do have to find it. There's an art to it. And then finding ways to work together, because honestly, I've applied for grants where they have asked, and they're asking because they prefer it, what other organizations that serve the same type of population do you work with? And I'm happy to report I work with two primarily, and one is Dog Tag Buddies, and they help, hence the name, vets with service dogs. And it's really cool because they're a little unorthodox in that they take basically puppy rejects, okay, and save them, and then they take the veteran and then they pair them together. So you can't like come to them with your dog and say, I want you to train my dog to be my service dog. It's they save the dog and they save the vet, and you become a partnership. And so it's a little bit unique and different, but I think it's really cool. And then the other one is Veterans Navigation Network, and similar story where the founder was looking for something and realized it didn't exist. And so he built it, and he just wanted to bring all the resources together. So he would go out and like hit up all the organizations, nonprofit and for-profit, that served veterans, all their brochures. And then he would like message all his veteran buddies and put a thing out on Facebook and be like, meet me in the parking lot at Albertsons. And he'd like hand out brochures and be like, okay, what are you dealing with? What are you dealing with? What are you dealing with? Oh, here you go. That'll work for you. This will work for you. And just instead of them having to go and find everything, he brought everything into one hub. And so that's what his organization does now. And it's incredible. And so I love partnering with other organizations. I have had situations where I think initially an organization looks at me as competition, as a threat, or what have you. But I'm of the mindset of, okay, if your organization, even if you're in Billings, Montana, where I am, serves the female veteran community, that's amazing, because now the women have 2 things to go to a month, not just one. Like, let's coordinate on when, so we don't step on each other's toes, but like, let's go have coffee or lunch and figure out how we can work together and support each other, because guess what? The ladies need more than one freaking day a month to get together and have support.
I agree. It's so refreshing to hear you say the same thing that I've been screaming on this channel for, I don't know, me and Nick have talked about it so many damn times it's not even funny, right? But it's refreshing to hear that, because the veteran should be put first. And once you put that veteran first, I do believe your nonprofit takes off and it starts working better and stuff like that when the veteran is the number one priority. So let me ask you, if there is a female out there that wants to be a part of the Operation Juliet, tell us how we can get a hold of you, or not we because I'm male, but how they can get a hold of you.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if you want to be involved in any way, shape, or form, and I've had several, especially our brothers in arms, reach out and be like, "How can I help?"
Yeah.
And they help spread the word. They help with donations. They help with sharing with their, the female veterans that they come across. So all everything starts at operationjuliet.org. All of our initiatives, everything that you need to know about the organization is there. I will say, if you're a female veteran and you don't live in, Billings or Bozeman, but you feel like there is a large need and you have the capacity to learn about what our outposts are, and potentially explore being, we call them outpost president. Think of it as like, the VFW chapters and the American Legion chapters, right? But it's going to be an Operation Juliet chapter. And you want to take that on, please email me. It's dallas@operationjuliet.org. Let's chat. Let's explore it. It doesn't have to be tomorrow. It doesn't even have to be this year, but let's explore it. Let's map it out. Let's figure out how we can support you. And then our 2026 retreat, that's exclusive for female combat veterans. Applications are open right now. They close on March 1st. So we are doubling our occupancy this year. We will have 20 seats, and the applications can be found on the website as well.
Amazing. And I'm sure they love hearing that. I know a couple people from our group shared your stuff today. Actually, it was one of our guys. He shared, I think it was your retreat coming up. And I messaged him. I was like, that's kind of funny. She's the one on the show tonight. And he was like, no shit. He was like, that's going to be really good. So you had a lot of people really wanting to hear from you and really excited to hear from you tonight. One last question for you, okay? If there's a female veteran out there that's struggling right now, what piece of advice would you give them? And I ask this to all the veterans I do interviews with because I think it's impactful.
I would say you're not alone. You're not alone. There are so many women who probably feel so many similar things as you do. And if you're struggling, like, healing is not a one size fits all. And that is why I try to introduce as many different healing modalities as possible. Because I've tried the talk therapy stuff, don't love it. I've tried the pills things. I don't like being numb. That's not to knock that it might not work for you, but I'm just saying, if this particular modality or this therapy doesn't seem to be working, quit. Go find another one. And then that one doesn't work, quit it. Like, there's no point in investing your time and your energy into something that doesn't work for you. You don't have to do it just because the VA told you did, or your therapist told you did. Go try something new until you find something that works, because you deserve joy, you deserve happiness, you deserve the freedom that we all fought for in one way, shape, or form. And with all of that in mind, I'm going to circle right back around to, you don't have to do it alone. If you don't have anyone in your community, call me right now. I will literally put my cell phone out for everyone. I probably shouldn't, but you probably want to. I have no problem. I have done it. I've had ladies reach out to me on TikTok, and I end up giving my phone number, and I'm like, I don't care if it's 2 a.m. You need someone to talk to. I don't want you to feel alone, and you're not. Tim obviously has created an incredible community. There's communities probably where you're at. You just got to find them, and, just take one day at a time. And if one day even feels like a lot, take 1 hour at a time and focus. Sorry, I got a lot to say.
You go right ahead. You get it all out. We like listening to you.
What helps me the most when I'm feeling overwhelmed or anxious or even depressed because that still happens for me. Okay. I'm not just magically fixed. Is to focus on what I can control right now in the moment. And then what is real. Try and go through all of your senses. See something, touch it, smell it, feel it. Like, try and run through all your senses. It grounds you a little bit, and it'll take you out of the anxiety, and it'll also help you out of the depression, because realizing where you're at right now and trying to find something that you're grateful for. So yeah, I mean, I could just go on all day. I got all kinds of stuff and things. So message me. I'm on all the platforms, all of them. My TikTok is, weirdly enough, my biggest following, and I have a huge veteran following there. So yeah, come follow me, follow Operation Juliet, go to the website, learn more, get involved. Let's set up Operation Juliet all over the country. I'm in. Let's go.
You're going to have so many people because we absolutely love you. I love talking to you. One of the things that I'm doing here is any nonprofit that's been on the channel, I want to add them to my resource list on my website. And also, I want to put you on my Facebook page as well for those female veterans that are there, so they know how to get in contact with you. Would you mind if I did that on on my website?
Not at all.
Awesome. Okay. Well, listen, it has been an absolute pleasure. The other thing I forgot to ask you this. We do a live show on Sundays called The Rally Point, and from the looks of it, they're absolutely loving you. If you are ever not busy on a Sunday night, we do it at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I would love to have you on. It's more of a community thing. And we're just there. We're talking about different topics. We stay away from politics, anything like that. But we just talk about how we can better each other, better the veteran community, and stuff like that. I would love to have you on that as well.
I'd be honored. Yeah. Let's work out a Sunday that I can jump on there with you guys. That'd be so cool.
That would be amazing. Well, listen, you have a wonderful night. Thank you so much for coming on. And thank you for what you're doing for the veteran community. We absolutely love you.
Thank you, Tim. I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you all for spending an hour with us. Again, time is irreplaceable. So spending an hour with us tonight or, in the future, appreciate it very much.
All right. Well, you have a wonderful night. Okay. We'll talk soon.
Yes, sir.
I know you guys absolutely loved her. She is an amazing person. I told you, I said, females, tonight is all about you. And that is, yeah, when you talk to somebody that you know that they're going places and you know that they're doing special things, she is one of those people. And I'm so happy that we had the opportunity to be able to have her on the show and showcase Operation Juliet, because it is important. A lot of the times the females get overlooked. And to have somebody that's not only been there, it's sort of like what we're doing, to be honest with you. A lot of her story matched what we're doing here on Operation Intel Veteran Stories. And she's amazing. What she is doing and what she has went through, and then not only the nonprofit that she's excelling at, but she was in the DEA too. That is that's a powerful female, and she can, and a published book writer as well. And not too many of those, right? And I am excited to have her on the Rally Point. Could you guys imagine her and Nick in a conversation? I would love to hear that. And I know Nick would too, to be honest with you. How's everybody doing tonight? Nice to see you back in here, Mike. Hope you're having a better day. Glad you're a part of the community now. How we doing, James? Listen, guys, this is only night 3. This is only night 3 of our 22 nonprofits in 22 days. And if you ask me, we're kicking ass, right? We have had 3 awesome nonprofits so far. 3 amazing people, 3 amazing teams doing amazing work for veterans. And I truly believe that once we start putting those veterans first and we start working together and we become one community instead of being secluded into different groups, we are going to reduce that number of veteran suicides. We are. I mean, it has to go down, right? Yeah, Nick, take it as a compliment. I would love to hear you guys have a conversation. There's not too many times that I sit here and I love talking to everybody I talk to, but she commands your attention. She is very well spoken. I think she's had a TED Talk or TEDx, talked on Capitol Hill. She's done a lot of different speaking. As you can tell, she's very well spoken, and what she's doing is just absolutely amazing, like I said. So, listen, guys, it has been one heck of a show. I'm loving absolutely everything we're doing every single night. This is fun to me. I'm getting to know more people. I'm getting to have conversations with people I probably would have never gotten to have conversations with. But most of all, I get to talk to you guys every single night. I get to see what you guys are thinking and really push our community out there as well. So, if you guys liked that one, we have more to come. We have, 19 more days of this. This is going to be amazing. So, hang in there with me. We're gonna be doing amazing things throughout these 22 days. And you got Casey, who's going at it right now. Casey and imagine the 2 troublemakers. You can't take those Louisiana people anywhere, to be honest with you. But listen, guys, we're gonna be back at it tomorrow night with another really good one. Okay, I had to check the schedule. Tomorrow's going to be a good one too. It's something different. What you guys are noticing is that we did the outdoors. We did the Gulf Coast veterans. We did Tactics, New Tactics Inc., and now we did Operation Juliet. Tomorrow's something really different. So make sure you tune in for that. It's going to be amazing. Hey, Mike, do me a favor. Reach out to Nick Crouch. And then I'm going to be messaging you after the show tonight as well. But our goal is to go coast to coast and see how many veterans' lives we can change. And I'm super excited to do that. Stay tuned. Remember, if you're a veteran out there and you are struggling, call somebody, talk to somebody, join our community. Talk to me, message me. There is a community here at Operation Intel Veteran Stories that would be more than happy to be that ear for you to listen to you. You're not alone in the fight that you're going through every single day. There are people out there that are more than willing to help you all throughout this country, whether it be a phone call, a retreat. Somebody is willing to not only listen, but help you out and be there for you. I love each and every one of you guys. I hope you guys had an amazing night tonight, and I hope you guys liked Dallas. She's an amazing person, and a big thank you goes out to her as well for coming on the show tonight. So, till tomorrow night, I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Real heroes, real stories, real impact.